Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Michelle Saeed, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and really those strategies driving their future growth. Today, we're thrilled to have Andrea Butcher joining us. She is the CEO and founder of Abundant Empowerment, and she's also a leadership development expert, executive coach, and an author that brings over 20 years of HR experience to empower leaders to create thriving and human-centric organizations. We'll explore her founding story, really how Abundant Empowerment is transforming leadership development, and what the vision looks like for scaling this impactful firm. Andrea, welcome to Founders Future. Let's dive in.
Yeah, so glad to be here.
Thrilled to have you on. So take us back to the beginning. What inspired you to launch the Abundant Empowerment?
I know, and it's a mouthful, isn't it?
All the
So it's so funny to think about the origin story. Here we are in 2025. In 2009,
time.
I bought the domain name abundantempowerment.com. And at the time, I was working for another consulting business, but I had this dream of having my own and doing leadership development and executive team development, and just doing it a little differently than we were executing it in this current organization. And I've always had this belief that leadership development is self-development. And so I wanted to create an organization that really focused on equipping leaders to be more of who they already are, rather than going to them with the prescribed set of leadership beliefs or competencies. I wanted to create more of a facilitated coaching experience. And so I was thinking okay, now it's empowering. It really taps into everyone, adds value. So it's about abundance. And so I just put those words together, and fast forward today, I launched Abundant Empowerment officially as an LLC last year, but it's been an idea that has been percolating and building since 2009. And
Wow.
so today, Abundant Empowerment really serves three brands. Being at Work is a leadership podcast that I launched in 2019. Every single day, I release a daily dose of leadership that's just 2 to 3 minutes. So it's a great way. It's very vulnerable, connective space to just get some quick hit, but high impact leadership insights being at work. AE Consulting is the consulting arm. So that is really where we do leadership development differently. It builds on the 20 years of experience that I have with global executive leadership teams, creating a growth experience. So building on the idea, we don't have anything to teach anyone. It's not about our words or what we're sharing. It's about creating experiences for leaders to discover more fully who they are and decide who they want to be so that they can be more of that. And then the third brand within Abundant Empowerment is the thing that I'm excited about right now, because we're really building this. Being at Work is a few years old. AE Consulting is work I've been doing throughout my career. CoLab AE builds on the community that my partner, Nick Reich, established several years ago. And it is a community for founders and entrepreneurs to give them a space for team, and also to give them a space to be poured into. There's so many resources for new business owners, founders, and entrepreneurs that are about building their business. But what about building themselves? If leadership development is self-development, we wanted this community where they could come and be poured into and get the community and team support that is often missing as a solopreneur.
I love that.
That's what we're doing. All three distinct brands that share the same purpose of equipping leaders to be more of who they are.
I love that. Now, amongst the three brands, I'd love for you to dive into the nuts and bolts, really the core offer. How do you structure it for some of the clients that you work with? And then also, who is typically that ideal leader and client that you like to work with? So it's in there, but I'd love for you to break that down for us.
I will definitely do that. So for CoLab AE, it's easy. It's business owners, founders, entrepreneurs that are looking for team, looking for a space for them to be uplifted, encouraged, coached, poured into. For AE consulting, it is mid-sized organizations who have an internal support team that's championing development initiatives within the organization, but are needing external expertise or a partner to co-create a growth experience with them. The organizations where we find the most value are organizations who have a foundation around development and equipping leaders and are looking to grow that, to add to that, enhance that. Because this is expertise that we have across thousands of organizations for 20 years, we are really good at creating a growth experience that tracks and measures growth over time. So if you have a group of leaders that you want to enhance, you want to see them lead at the next level, like those are the organizations we want to work with. We want to co-create an experience that helps them do that and that tracks and measures that growth along the way.
I love that.
For being at work, the guests, so I mentioned those daily doses of leadership episodes. Every other week, I host a guest. And typically it's an executive HR or talent leader sharing being examples at work, challenges, significant pivot points or tensions that they've navigated through and what they learned through those. So each of those episodes becomes a significant leadership lesson that we can use then in the growth experiences that we're delivering at AE Consulting. So it's all connected.
Amazing. Yeah. You really branched out from what it looks like into a lot of different domains of delivering that education from like a leadership perspective, especially from the media side of things, the podcast. Where do you feel like you're seeing a lot more of that traction? Is it more so working with organizations? Oftentimes when we talk to founders, there's like usually 80% of their time is spent on one of those offerings. Where do you feel like that is for you?
Right now, certainly it's the consulting work with AE. So the leader development initiatives, executive team development is really big right now. If you think about just what's happening in the marketplace and what's happening in the world, there's so much uncertainty. There's so much unknown. So I'm finding right now there's a huge push for executive teams to align on shared vision and direction so that they can cast a consistent and inspirational message out to their team. And so organizations are realizing that what's happened in a lot of cases, because organizations have been very heads down in maintenance mode the last few years.
Yeah.
What's happened is a lot of times within executive teams, you've got these siloed functions and leaders are leading their functions well, but they're not leading the enterprise as an aligned team, as an aligned group. So they're taking a step back, looking at what's getting in the way and how can we be more cohesive to move the business forward together. Yeah. That's taking a lot of our time right now. And we love that because executives are busy, right? Life gets really full. And so being able to create a space for them to come together, for them to tell the truth about what's actually going on within the team, and then creating a plan for how are we going to drive cohesion and alignment? And what accountabilities do we want to put into place to make sure that we follow through on those commitments?
I think it's super interesting, especially where there's a lot of that focus on bringing your team up to that level. Where a lot of other organizations, they focus a lot more on, hey, how can we ensure that the function of that department, like you said,
right,
there needs to be. But then when you leave your team behind, how can you expect the function to get to that level in essence? And it's oftentimes the leader doing a lot of that, and then they don't delegate at the end of the day.
Yeah. And when there isn't alignment and cohesion at the executive team level, the rest of the organization feels that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I always challenge executives, like, do you know who wants you to be aligned more than anybody else? Like your team members. Because when there isn't that cohesion, it shows up in lots of dysfunctional ways across the business.
Yeah. I think it's super interesting. Now, as far as the format of this, is it more like one-on-one, the exec coaching, or is it like a group style? How is the engagement
It's a great question. I find that growth happens when there is a combination of one-on-one space to build trust, to take the armor off, get at the heart of what's really going on, and then come together in a group. If you think about every team, every individual leader, every organization at the intersection of those three, that's where the goods are, because there's this sacred space where personal, individual leadership challenges, team challenges, and what's happening in the organization, where all three of those intersect in this Venn diagram. And so we get at the intersection and acknowledge this systemic impact. Anytime anything's happening within the organization, it impacts every team, it impacts every leader. Same thing. If a leader is growing within an organization, there's an opportunity for the team to be impacted by that as well.
What's like your vision for scaling, especially with like your type of model where it's probably customized a lot of that one-on-one coaching, depending on who you're working with, and that might leave like an inherent cap on the number of you can take. What are you thinking as a founder is like that next
Well,
scaling?
it's a great question. And it's part of the value of that CoLab AE, that community of founders and solopreneurs, because the vision is that there will be coaches, there will be facilitators within the community that we can tap into to help us scale. When I started doing the work of leader development, executive coaching many years ago, I found there was still a lot of work having to like make the case for it. And there weren't nearly as many coaches and leadership facilitators in the market as there are today. I think a lot of that started within organizations, and now so many of those folks are leaving to do their own thing, right? To serve in a contract capacity. And so CoLab AE gives me an opportunity. The CoLab AE community is not just for coaches. It's broader for founders and solopreneurs, but naturally a lot of them, because that's my network, naturally a lot of them will serve in that community. And so it gives me an opportunity to tap into them to help scale the work that we're doing across AE.
Yeah, it's part of really that community you're building as well, from what it sounds like, really building a lot of those mutual alliances.
You got it.
So on that acquisition front, talk to us a little bit about how you're getting in front of some of the clients you work with. What are you doing to generate leads, whether it's paid ads, social media, word of mouth, LinkedIn? What are some of those avenues you've been using so far?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the primary place to stay connected to all of the audiences that we're serving. So I'd say that is my number one channel. I do so much via LinkedIn. I put out a lot of content. I'm driving a lot of DMs there. So that's the number one. Also, just because the work that we do is so relational, referrals, or almost every single week, I will get a message on LinkedIn. Hey, Andrea, I worked with you 10 years ago when I was at MasterCard, and now I'm at Bloomberg. Can you help my team in the same way you did then? Or I was a part of a leadership program that you led many years ago. Now I'm here. So just because I have worked with and poured into so many leaders in my career, and now they're in other organizations, that is how most of our sales happen.
That's really cool. I want to get your thoughts on this, especially when it comes to lead gen, because like referrals are powerful and they're mostly high intense, right? And even with LinkedIn, it's very manual outreach, but oftentimes as a founder, you can be the bottleneck doing the marketing, doing it all yourself. What's the next step for you with building more predictability on that lead gen side of things? Is that something you're thinking about now? Maybe exploring paid ads, doing social media? What's your thought process there?
Yeah. So I just did my first on LinkedIn. You can pay to bump an ad or bump a video or something, increase visibility to it. And I just did that and had really good success with the number of impressions that the post got. It didn't translate into any specific follow-ups, but it definitely helped with visibility. So I think we'll try that. And it was $200 to increase visibility over a couple of weeks. That we will continue to try. The other thing that I'm really interested in doing more of is building a YouTube channel. So we've just started using the daily doses of leadership on our podcast. Those are automatically showing up on our YouTube page now. And so doing more videos there, posting more content there, driving more visibility to that page. But it is, I think my greatest challenge as a founder is balancing the time that I'm spending on core business with the time I'm spending on sales and marketing.
Mhm.
It is a constant challenge for me. Like, how can I get more margin to do
Yeah.
those things?
Yeah, 100%. It's something that oftentimes comes down to really, okay, maybe I could delegate this to other team members. Oh, so with that being said, what is like that sales process like? Are you doing all the sales calls right now? Do you have a team in place handling that? How is all
Yeah,
right
I
now?
have. So I have a partner, and then I've used contract operations and contract marketing support. And so the vision is in the longer term to have internal team members that are doing those things. I'm actually just getting ready to hire my first W-2 ops manager. And so a big part of her role is going to be processes, streamlining, building efficiencies, helping me to get more margin so that I can focus more on just doing the things I do well. So yes, it's definitely the vision to bring more of that in-house for sure.
That's really cool. And part of that is probably on the sales front as well, right? Maybe hiring
100,
better tools
100%.
going to help with those things, right?
Yeah. And I think a strong ops person can do like sales operations as well, right? Looking at processes and again, streamlining those things. And even there are points within the sales process that I can exit where she can really take leadership of transitioning from sales to delivery.
Now, when it comes to like really marketing and like really that next step there, as far as building your brand presence goes, like what's the vision over the next 6 to 12 months? What are some of the goals when it comes to like performance, revenue as well? Paint that picture for us.
More. The goal is more. But I don't have specific metrics or specific goals around it. We've been so fortunate in the year just because of the relationships that I have. We haven't really had to do a lot of sales on purpose. It's been inbound that we've been responding and reacting to. But again, LinkedIn, the podcast are the two biggest ways. So I'm just exploring opportunities to really amplify
Yeah.
the things that we are putting out. And
Yeah.
also another big thing, and I've talked to so many different marketing firms, I just haven't figured out the right way to do this, but the podcast launched in 2019. And because I've been doing a daily dose of leadership since 2020
Yeah.
and guest episodes since 19, we have thousands of episodes, so much content. So how can we repurpose that? How can we tap into content we already have and just use it in different ways to increase visibility is also a conversation we're always having.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think sometimes that's the thing when people outsource their marketing, especially a lot of agencies, they employ like a very cookie cutter approach, right? They don't really build all of that in-house to your brand. And one thing is, okay, how can you make sure that the messaging that you have resonates with the marketing that you're doing at the end of the day? That's also probably a very important point there. And as far as really what it looks like with scaling the team, I know you're bringing in an ops person as well. What else does that look like with really growing the organization? What is that runway for this year?
Serving the current clients really well, ensuring that we're really clear and focused in our delivery processes is big so that we're set up to scale and grow and bring in other coaches and consultants. We have projects right now where we're leveraging other coaches and consultants and taking the time to get clear on what works well, what doesn't, how can we best set them up for success? What's the tracking mechanism look like for external coaches and consultants? Yeah, I think right now I'm focused on delivering really well. We're fortunate that like sales is not a challenge for us right now. It is about delivering with excellence so that we can continue to grow.
Yeah, 100%. And especially with like your fulfillment model, it's like being conscious of who you bring in as well, probably into the organization.
100%.
Yeah.
The coaches we're using now are people I've used a lot in the past and I know very well.
Yeah, I love that. I want to get your thoughts on this as we're in the lightning round. A couple last questions. How do you see the leadership development industry evolving in the coming years, especially with a lot of your focus on human
Yeah.
Future coaching, how is abundant empowerment positioning itself for that type of future?
I think if you look at the pressures within the world, there is not a human who isn't reflecting on who am I and what do I want, and that individualization is going to continue to be more, is just going to be more and more important. And so organizations serving as a forum and a space for people to explore that, because it's happening. That is going to connect employees to employers. I think that's huge. So I think the leadership development industries, like the models and the frameworks, they have gotten us to a good place, but people are really looking more for, what does that mean to me personally?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to subscribe to a framework or a model, it's almost like every single person figuring out like their unique framework and model for leadership. I think that's where we're headed.
I love that. And if we brought like a genie in the room, it's a fun question. Rub the lamp and all of a sudden there's unlimited resources. What would you implement immediately to get that visibility and to really accelerate the growth of abundant empowerment?
Yeah, I think the vision is that every single human, like leading not only teams and organizations, but leading their lives, has a coach that is championing them, championing who they are, helping them to explore. Because I say a lot, be more of who you are, but in order to be more of who you are, you have to know who that is.
Yeah.
And so many of us are responding from outdated beliefs and scripts and roles. And so having a champion to help you figure out, like, yeah, like what do I value? And what do I want? And how can I best express who I am in the world? That would be what my genie would help to create for me.
I love that. On that note, Andrea, thanks so much for joining us today. That wraps up an inspiring episode of Founders Future. It was a pleasure having you on the show, sharing your story. And yeah, we're excited to see your path to empowering more leaders going into this year. What's the best way for the clients, potential listeners to also get in touch with you?
Yeah. So LinkedIn is a great place. Andrea Butcher, I think it's leadership coach is my handle on LinkedIn, but you could also just search my name and find me there. Yeah. And then Abundant Empowerment is also abundantempowerment.com, highlights those 3 brands that I referenced and the work that we're doing. And so you can connect with me there also.
Beautiful. On that note, everyone, there you guys have it. Don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And you can find some more resources and insights over at closers.io. We're dedicated to helping businesses scale through trained appointment setters and world-class sales and marketing systems. Until then, everyone, keep climbing, and we'll see you all on the next one.